Sometimes you just need a space where no one's asking for anything. It's what this world became. For 1,500 in-game days, I survived, explored, and built something I'm proud of. No pressure, just flow. If that sounds like something you're in for, consider leaving a like on the video, as we have a goal of 160 likes. And I really hope that you enjoy days 1,000 to 1,500 plus here in my Minecraft Forever world. As the sun sets after some steady progress here at the Kingdom of Audupon, I must say, I do think that the chef has been in the kitchen. As you can see, in our mountainous region, we have gotten around to expanding the kingdom, and we have bridge after stone brick wall that curves down into the mountainside overlooking our beautiful wheat field over in this direction. Over time, as I continue as a Minecraft builder, I can tell that I'm getting better and better at making these paths, especially into the mountainside, which may I assure you is no easy feat fitting all of these different slabs perfectly into the terrain, but our path takes a bend over to the left this way and makes itself along down to where the river lies, where eventually we'll get around to making a bit of a docking and a fishing area, which as you can see by this area is a perfect spot to do so, overlooking our recreational park for the gods. But I also did want to mention that over down here by the wheat field, we also in a couple of episodes back ended up getting around to doing another stone pathway leading all the way down here too. But unfortunately, all of the cinematics that I made for the video were made in the wrong FOV, so I had to scrap them, and I wanted to show you the pathway now. And as we look at the kingdom, you can see that it really is starting to come together, and there's a lot of work that we can do in this middle area of the kingdom here. We can once again continue up our brand new stone pathway, and then over past our arched bridge as well, where we can make our way over to the top of the platform where the build for today's episode is going to lie, where you'll notice that we have a couple of trapdoors. And the reason being for that is that if we head on down here, you can see that we have a brand new melon farm in this area. We have a beautiful little interior space where I have some copper trapdoors for some extra decoration and a morgue lost item frame. But we also have a wonderful bedroom area over here, and my favorite part may be our aquarium, where we have a couple of fish just flying up and down, which I got the idea of having aquariums from the wonderful YouTuber Ecolio, and I've been implementing them in the kingdom. I highly recommend doing so. It adds so much life to any interior. But we also have some note blocks here for some extra decoration, and of course some glowstone to light up the farm. And if we head over in this direction, if we flip down our copper trapdoor, you'll see that we have plenty of melons that we're collecting, which we happen to be doing for two reasons in particular. The first being that I love putting flowers into any area, but we don't have enough bone meal to do so. So I was thinking about taking the melon seeds that we have and making them into a bone meal farm, which will definitely fit the bill for the moment. But I did also run into a skeleton XP farm at some point when I was off camera, so we'll have to get along in making an XP grinder out of it. And then reason two is that it is always helpful to get melons so that we can do a trade with our farmer villagers. But of course, we have to put something very beautiful into this area and spice up all of the terrain that we have around us in the middle of the kingdom, which I've already made the build that we're going to be placing in this area in creative mode, and I'm so excited for you to see it. But of course, we'll have to wait for the end of the video for that to happen. We have a couple of more chores to do. I want to work on the tunnel for our kingdom, and once again, get around to placing some flowers all around the kingdom of Audubon. So if you're here for that adventure, consider leaving a like on the video, and without further ado, I say, why don't we get back to work? Well, it is quickly becoming apparent to me that our current method of getting bone meal to get all these too tall flowers in the world is taking a little bit too much time. So at some point, I think that we're going to have to make a moss farm for the forever world. Although on another token, I am feeling quite satisfied with the progress that we've been able to get done in this area with the peonies and then with the rose bushes over in the distance. It really gives such a colorful look as we make our way up the pathway. And so of course, we'll be trying to get as many more flowers into this area as soon as we can, meaning that we're gonna have to wait a little while so that we can harvest more seeds for some bone meal. But for the time being, I think that we're gonna get ourselves a little bit more progress done on the tunnel. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, but the tunnel is eventually going to be a massive storage area, and slowly but surely we happen to be running out of storage space over at our survival base. So I think that the best thing for us to do next is to spend some of our resources on our bridge, and then who knows, maybe we'll continue our kingdom expansion over to the west. good hour of deliberate mining later, and we have 14 more layers dug here in the tunnel. And although we have plenty of diorite and plenty of quartz and all the other white blocks that we would need to extend this little bit of the tunnel, I don't feel like doing so in the episode. It may seem like only a little bit of work compared to all of the layers that we have right here, but in reality it takes a long time to make a tunnel this big. So as I've discussed before, the best thing for me to do without burning out on this project is to do it little bit by little bit. But as you can see by the stone bricks in my hand, we've gotten plenty of resources to expand the kingdom, because as discussed earlier, what I really want is some bone meal. But as we head into our storage area, you'll see that we have tons and tons of stone smelting up. And of course, this process is kind of tedious, but it's so worth keeping my materials organized here in my forever world. But I'm sure that we don't have enough pumpkin and melon seeds to get more bone meal, so I think that we're gonna harvest the wheat field once again. And if we head into this chest right here, you'll see that we have tons and tons of wheat, meaning that we'll have to work with some packed mud at some point. But regardless, for the time being, we need ourselves some seeds. So as the sun sets in this beautiful kingdom that we've been working on over the last 6 months or so, I say let us get back to work. Well, it happens to be raining, but we've gotten a good amount of work done here at the kingdom. As you can see, we've extended our pathway design leading down over to where the park lies, and I'm really falling in love with the way that they work into the land, because not only do they look pretty, but they give me a better idea of how we can work with the land. And not only have we gotten around to extending this area of the kingdom over here, but if we head over in this direction, we can also kind of see in the rain that I've extended the pathway down along this way too, which I must admit is looking so beautiful, as you can see with the sight line that we have here, as now our path just zigzags so many different times here leading down over to the water, for which eventually we'll definitely have to be making a dock design over in front of me, and I have a feeling that we're going to get to it pretty soon in an upcoming video. But as you can see, the path just winds along the land like so, and is just made out of stone bricks and cobblestone, and you really don't need too much in order to make the area look so pretty, especially as it leads on down to the wheat field, which is now stunningly completely covered with 2 tall flowers. And I think that they perfectly follow the land to work into the water, and I'm so happy with how they came out, as in my personal opinion, it's always good to add some extra color to your world. But unfortunately, as much as I would like to continue to work on this area and continue to work on the area that we have over on this side of our rampart too, I'm running out of time to make the main build for this episode, which once again is to place a build over our new melon farm up over here. So I say let us stop filibustering and put some materials into our hands. Well, once again, I must say that I've cooked. Our melon farm cottage is so quaint looking and I love how it blends in with the environment. We ended up going with some lilacs and some sunflowers as well, which bring the extra bit of color that this area really needed. And in particular, I love the curvature that we have with the banners just going upwards. It really makes the shape of this build extra unique. You can see that we've made it clear that this is the melon farm by placing melon seeds on all of the item frames. And if we head over to the front of the build, you can see that we have plenty of flowers over here too. But perhaps my favorite part of the entire build is that it wonderfully overlooks our recreation of the gods, which is still one of my favorite builds that I've ever made. And I'm sure that as we continue on in the kingdom, we'll make the entire area behind me even prettier as well. But we might as well sleep away the thunderstorm. But of course, if we head inside, you'll see that I've gotten around to making an interior. We have an ominous potion right here and some bookshelves with some books in it too for some extra color. We also have an ominous banner right here and some paintings, some lanterns, and all the good things that make a really wonderful looking interior. You can see that we're getting dangerously close to the enemy outpost that we have over in the horizon. So I must say we're playing it pretty risky here with all of these aesthetic builds and barely any fortification. But as you can see, we've continued our flowers over on the right and then over on down below us as well, which in my personal opinion are the best things to add when terraforming in the mountains. The flowers really slope along a diagonal in such a beautiful way, and seeing all of the progress that we've been able to get done in today's episode is making me feel even more invigorated to keep on building in this world. So if you've enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. We have a new video coming out every week. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, it is just about time for me to get back to work. There's no better feeling than adding life to a Minecraft world. The beauty is always found in the details, the natural features, the stories. Life is about the little things, and in today's episode, I'm excited to add something incredible that this kingdom dearly needs. Besides a like on the video, of course. Well, it probably took about 2 or 3 hours on my end, but the chef has been in the kitchen. You can see that the waterfall is definitely one of the biggest builds that we've put in the world so far. We're also gonna need a name for this beautiful river too. So once again, if you'd like to name our new river, consider leaving the name in the comments below. But for now, I say let's get out our stone blocks once again and add some more pathways to this beautiful kingdom. Well, as you can see, some really significant progress to the kingdom. I'm very proud of everything that we happen to have in front of me right here. As you can see, we've continued and extended our borderline wall all the way over here. This really is such a significant expansion to the kingdom, and I'm very excited to be able to put more life into this area. I'm thinking maybe another build right here. We would have to flatten out this area right here and make it look aesthetic so we can put a build in the area, but I think I might be up for it in the future. As always, we've continued with our stone stairs all the way down here, and I really think that the more that I do this, I'm getting better at doing it, which honestly is a very gratifying feeling. And as we head down here, you can see that our path splits off in two ends, where down here we'll continue down in order to expand the kingdom and place even more builds around in this area, which will have such a beautiful overlook with our Garden of the Gods. But if we head along the right side here, you can see that we probably have the best overlook of the park. And I feel like I say it in pretty much every episode now, but I love this build. It is probably my favorite that we have here in the kingdom. And we're not done with the path yet. As you can kind of see, it's still in infrastructure mode, but it's a really great overlook, and you can see that it looks back up at the kingdom really well. And I'm not sure exactly what we'll end up doing here. I'm not sure if we're going to extend the kingdom past this point where we have our fishing dock. But regardless, this is a good place to be at in the world, and I have so many ideas with everything that we can do in this area. And so if you're here for that, consider leaving a like on the video, because there's nothing but good things coming in this area, including this area right here that we've prepared for the build for today's episode. Of course, everything matches with the surrounding area, and you'll actually notice down here that we already have our building materials ready to go. But I guess you could say that this wouldn't be a slip video if we didn't have one other task to do, which is for us to get around to work on the tunnel. It really is such a major build, and I haven't played Minecraft actually in a couple of weeks. I've just been editing the videos that I have, but at the same time, I do think that maybe I've been avoiding this monster that we have right here, which is really just such a massive tunnel, as Microcosm Gaming ended up pointing out in the comments of the most recent video. Which also, since I haven't been in this world in a couple of weeks, this river that we ended up building is just really wonderful looking. But yeah, as Micro ended up pointing out, the scale of this build really, as you can maybe see with the scale of the river that we have now in the mountain, is really something. And slowly but surely, it is taking us a lot of time in order to get all of the expensive materials needed in order to make this build. But the good news is that we've stocked up on plenty of iron and diorite, along with, as you can see in this chest right here, we have plenty of quartz to go as well, meaning that it's time for another round of building in the tunnel. Now, I must say that the Tunnel of Oedipus is really starting to become a massive, massive project. One that happens to have an incredible reward. As you can see, as we walk in here, it is such a deep tunnel by now, and it is so beautiful with all of the white blocks. We really are starting to get somewhere with this build, and since we're going to be making this area into a storage area at some point, I think that we're going to do 1 or 2 more segments and then split off to the left and to the right. As I was saying earlier, these major projects can feel so daunting, but it really is great to feel the reward of all the efforts that you've put in. Now, besides work on our tunnel, we've been up to a little bit more in the Kingdom of Oedipus. You see, something that we've discussed over the last couple of months in this kingdom is that there is an enemy outpost over to the west. But as we also know, we've been slowly and surely expanding into the western region of the kingdom too, and in the process, we happen to be encroaching upon the enemy. Now you can consider me victorious against the cruel enemy over there. I really am a builder at heart, but I guess I have some fighting skills, and I'm happy that we can now consider the western region of the kingdom to be safe. But as we've discussed, if we drop down here, we have plenty of materials that are ready for our build. It's eventually going to look so pretty overlooking the Garden of the Gods. Today, we'll be building a house for a fellow Minecraft friend named Sagei. He makes great content and has a Forever World playthrough of his own. We can get around to putting something cool underground here in the next episode, but I say, why don't we put some building blocks in our hand and make something incredible in the kingdom. Well, officially, we have a build in our hands, and although I'm okay with the look of the build, I'm still not quite sure if I ended up cooking or not. I've been messing around a bit in creative mode to try to find a way to make builds that have a really nice staircase leading up to the second floor, and although we've definitely been successful in that regard, we're not done with our build for the day. I'll get around to showing off the details of the build and the interior later, but first off, I did want to give a massive thank you. Last week's episode of 10 world building tips to build in your Minecraft survival world has been an incredibly successful video on this end. It seems like a whole ton of you really enjoyed the tips that I had to show off, and thank you for taking the time to take a look at the video. But I did also want to mention that if you ever would like to use any of the cinematics that I make in my videos, I have now made a digital catalog of stock footage for you to use. As always, you can find it linked in the description below. As well, I did want to mention that I've been very into 8-bit art designs recently. Anything that's 8-bit themed, and especially Minecraft theme, has been really catching my attention. And so I got around and ended up designing my own 8-bit Minecraft retro themed sticker. I really think that it's so cool and I'm so proud of it. And so I came up with the fun idea of having a unique sticker for every new episode that comes out here in the Survival Kingdom. For each region, we'll have a unique collection of stickers. And if you've ever thought about supporting this guy Slip and maybe making his dreams of becoming a Minecrafter come true, this is definitely the opportunity to do so. But regardless, just the fact of you being here and spending some time with me and enjoying these videos really does mean the world. And so I think that it's just about time to sprucing up this entire area with all the details, which of course is going to include a whole ton of flowers, along with continuing to add some pathway designs just to fill in the entire area. It's currently March 4th, and it's going to be a doozy to get this video out by Saturday, so I say let's put some blocks into our hands and get around to decorating the build. grand welcome to Sagei's cottage. Now that we've filled in the build with all of the necessary life and details, you can say that I'm a very happy man and I'm quite pleased with how it ended up coming out. I'm sure that it'll come as no surprise to you that I used tons of flowers to accentuate the build, and down around our border wall I also added in more sunflowers and lilacs. I can say a well done and a mission complete on fitting this build in with its environment. We can head up the now stone brick path up the stairs into our second floor, and I've gotten around to building an interior on both areas. For the walls on the second floor, I ended up going in with some polished deep slate, and I'm really happy that it added a little bit of depth and darkness to the build. And then we have some oak trapdoors as shutters, and of course some item frames with some flowers for some extra color. If we head inside to the second floor, we don't have too much except for a bedroom for Sagei. There's some cartographer's tables and some pots with some flowers in them, and for the entire build, we definitely went with a red theme. I put in a couple of carpets so that Sagei can comfortably get into the build. And one of my favorite things about this little area up top is that when you're waking up in the morning, you have a beautiful look at the Garden of the Gods, and you get the same thing when walking down the stairs in the evening or in the morning. One really fun thing that I've been doing here with the cottages of my friends here in the Kingdom of Otapon is using cartographer's tables to kind of accentuate that this is a house as opposed to a build. But I really like our use of arches on the first floor, and on the side right here for some extra brown in texture we have some brown banners along with some dark oak trapdoors. Along with, for some extra variation in life, we have some garden pots with some flower of the valleys. This flower is by far one of my favorite flowers to use in the game, and I never use it, so I'm definitely happy that we found a way to fit it into Sagei's house. If we continue along the path to the right here, you can see that we have a 1 block wide, very narrow corridor, which in my opinion is very fun to just go and use, which leads to another beautiful path with even more flowers of the valley, where the path starts to run a little bit more skinny and continues off to a storage area. As you can see, we have the sign for Sagei's cottage here, where our path runs out right here, and we have an entrance to the first floor. So I say we can open the door and get a look at a very quaint interior. I think that it could do with maybe a little bit more lighting, and so I say we can solve the issue right now by placing down a couple of lanterns. We'll place one right here as well, and as you can see, besides more cartography tables, more banners, and some item frames along with some pots and flowers, there's really not too much going on with this first floor interior, which by all means is fine with me. It's kind of more simple, and I kind of like it that way too. And so after plenty of work, we can officially say that we have even more life into the Kingdom of Otapon, and we've definitely started to expand into the western region of the world. It is officially day 1387, and so slowly but surely we're approaching day 500 in this world. If you have any ideas about what sort of builds you would personally like to have here in the Kingdom of Otapon, please do consider leaving a comment. But besides that, it really means the world that you ended up taking a look at this video. We really have so much life here in the kingdom after so many months of hard work, which, speaking of work, I say that it's best that I get back to it. Detailing an area is imperative to an immersive Minecraft world. If you struggle with staying in your world, it may be because it's lacking detail. It's not just about the builds. A detailed Minecraft world is really about the environment. So I'm going to show you how I add detail to my Minecraft world. And if you enjoy the video, consider a like so that we can try to get to 100 likes. You could call me a happy man given the fact that we have more progress done here at the Kingdom of Otapon. For the last 3 or 4 episodes now, I've been wanting to get around and make a dock, and that we have a dock here, you could say that the mission is definitely accomplished. I really didn't think that we needed too much to spice up the area. As you can see, we have a couple of boats making us ready for transport, and I also got around to extending our wheat fields over on this side here, along with on the far side of the dock, and I'm really happy that we did it. As you can tell, it helps enclose the area and gives some extra life too. And so this area is definitely satisfactory for the moment. But if you've been watching the playthrough, you know that we've been getting up to a ton of work expanding the Kingdom of Otapon over to the west. And as good as it feels to get progress done on this side of the kingdom, I do want to add more detail into the parts of the kingdom that we've already been working on. For example, this area right here could use a whole ton of work, and there are tons of spots all around the kingdom where we could just add in little bits of life. Eventually, we'll get around to making a build all the way up there, which you've probably already seen in the thumbnail. But this wouldn't be a slip episode if we didn't have other projects that we had to get done first. So I say, let's dedicate this episode to the little details and add a bit more story to this world. Adding detail to a Minecraft world enhances its realism. You can add small scenic touches like flower beds, garden pathways, and hanging lanterns. As you can see here, one of my favorite things to add are wheelbarrows. They give the impression that things are moving around in your world. As much as I can, I try to add points of interest to my world, whether it be scenic overlooks or places where you could commune with other villagers. These little things can add the extra bits of detail that your world might need. And one more tip that I have is to add tons of flowers around into your world. It's hard for me personally not to go overboard, but they really add extra color which your world might need. There's so many things that you can do to add detail to your world, and I'd love to know your ideas in the comments below. But as you can see, it's starting to become a hefty amount of work taking care of an ever-expanding kingdom. If I'm being honest, there really is nothing like putting all the life into a world. It really is about the little details, just like the wagon that we have right here. As you can see, it's a fairly simple design with some hay bales and some signs along with a chest and some oak trapdoors. Along with outside our border wall right here, I got around to building a unique sort of lamppost sort of design. Or who knows, maybe it's more of a statue, but it's really unique looking and kind of fun where we have a decorated pot with some spruce signs and then a composter and an iron bar along with some brown banners. I really do think that it looks cool from afar. Along with knowing me, I got around to fitting even more decorated pots along the entire kingdom with some birch saplings. This one right here in particular has a wonderful overlook of Sagei's house and the Garden of the Gods. And as we continue into the western region of the kingdom, you can see that I did more of the like over in this area too. If we head down our beautiful stairways, you can see that I've expanded every single little bit and piece of the kingdom too. And not just with more wagons, although you happen to see that we have one right here, but with even more item storage areas that we've kind of sprinkled around everywhere on the stairways. And then heading on down here too, you can also see that we have more inventory storage. One of my favorite new additions lies down here at the dock. I was inspired by Bars's most recent upload where he put tons of benches around his world. And so I thought that there was no better thing to put in this world except for tons of benches around the dock area, along with extra storage bits and bobs as well. Eventually, as we've discussed, we'll get around to filling in this entire area with the trees right here, and I've been doing some thinking, and I think that I want to continue along with sunflowers and lilacs, although it's going to take a whole ton of bone meal, and I'm feeling pretty poor in that regard at the moment. As we head up the main stairway to the kingdom, you can just see how beautiful and how expansive everything in the kingdom of Audipon really has become. I'm so proud of this world and the little things just like the decorated pots that we have here, although I happen to have missed one, make all of the difference. And honestly, it really is nice just to take a relaxing break and take a look at all of the different places that we have in the kingdom. We of course have another wheelbarrow over here next to Etat's place, and then I've also gotten around to putting another wheelbarrow in right here next to our wool farm. These designs are really so small and so easy to make, but they really add so much story to the world. Honestly, these wheelbarrows and these benches that we have add so much life to the world. Not only does it give our villagers a place to sit down, but it also gives so many storytelling elements about how this is a farming people, which I guess is pretty easy to tell anyway, given all the flowers and farmland that we have here. Although at the end of the day, this still is a mining colony, which may make a little bit more sense given our massive tunnel of Audipos and the huge mountain that we have alongside it. As we head along to our massive wheat field, you can see that I added even more decorated pots and wheelbarrows, which we actually happen to have too in the area, as you can tell, and I think that that's a good thing because this definitely is a gnarly field of wheat, but even the little things just like decorated pots just snuck in the corners everywhere make all of the difference in terms of adding that extra bit of detail to the world. Overlooking the golden wheat field, we have one more wheat barrel, which is right next to our monorail train station. And then as we head on over towards the tunnel area, I got around to just kind of cleaning up this area here, which kind of makes everything a bit more smooth and brings in the entire area. And then last, but definitely not least, I also got around to terraforming our pathway design leading on over to the storage area. And although Marnie is so cute, I don't think I can say the same about this pathway area. The truth is that this is now the third iteration of the pathway design that we've had leading over to the kingdom storage area. Originally, I had a gazebo in this area, and then we had a normal stone path before I got around to making some cracks and putting water in around all of them. And although it kind of looks cool, at the same time, it really kind of mixes up and breaks the vibe and the idea that we have here going on in the kingdom. So I'm gonna leave it for now. I don't really have any motivation for fixing it right now. We've tried our best and we'll come back around to this area when we have new ideas. However, just like always, it's just about time that we get a little bit more work done on our tunnel over here. Now, this massive project is slowly and surely coming together over the months that we've been working on it. But the truth is, the area leading to the entrance of the tunnel definitely needs a lot of fixing and a lot of terraforming. So we're gonna get around to the latter part, the terraforming part of that today. I really do wish that I had more time this week to come in and make some stone paths leading up to the tunnel, but this guy is already time time strapped for the week, and it's gonna be a doozy to get the video out by Saturday. So if you're still here, consider leaving a like on it. It really does the world for a small channel just like this. And we can put some blocks into our hand, some dirt blocks that is, and get around to terraforming the tunnel. Well, cheers to Editor Slip for being able to whip up a cinematic of 45 minutes of dirt block placement. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm pretty happy with the shape of the terraforming that we have in the area. Now, I know that it doesn't look perfect. I don't use Axiom when I terraform, so I like to see what it is that I can make in the world. And so now we definitely have an infrastructure of land that we'll be able to build on in future episodes. And in the next episode, we're definitely going to have to continue on paving out the tunnel area. This thing is mighty magnificent, and I'm really happy with all of the progress that we've done over what happens to be a couple of months now. But it's also a good feeling to know that we're going to start getting on to the main build for today's episode 2. Today, we're going to be building a tower where hopefully we'll put in an enchanting setup, which is going to lie in this area right here that we have next to the melon farm. However, if we jump on top of this lone grass block that we'll get rid of, you can see that we have all of these trees in the area below us, and then we have our sunflowers and our lilacs over to the right. And in the back end, I have been getting around to collecting more and more and more bone meal so that we can continue to expand the cropland. There really is nothing like having some beautiful flowers in your Minecraft world. And personally, the sunflower is my favorite flower that we happen to have in the game. And if you feel the same and would love to have your own sunflower for yourself, consider getting the new Collector's Edition sticker for today's episode of The Kingdom. Really do think that YouTube needs to do better with supporting channel memberships, and so I think that this is one of the best ways to support this guy on the journey of becoming a full-time YouTuber. So I really mean it that even just clicking the link and checking it out does so much for this channel, but also if you would ever like to use any of my Minecraft cinematics, feel free to check out the link in description as well. They are all free and ready for you to use. Well, now it is kind of crazy how many flowers we actually happen to have in this world. We ended up getting around to filling in this entire area on stream just now. And so if my voice sounds raspy, it's because I've been talking a lot. But a huge shout out to everyone that ended up coming out to stream. It really is so fun to get to hang out with you all. And now, as you can see, our flower field is so big that it's almost out of render distance. And it only being Wednesday, I think that we might have enough time to squeeze out this video in time. And by that, I mean without me breaking my back to get it out too much, that is. And so I hope you can hear by the excitement in my voice that I'm so ready to get to building this tower right in this area here. It's been about an hour or two, and you can say that we have a completed build on our hands. I find this build unique in that I'm usually pretty happy with the first iteration of a build that I make in creative, but when I was making this build in the world, it became quite apparent that I was using way too much cobblestone. And so, as you can tell, we went around and did a second layer of texturing with some tuff. I think that the addition of some pink and some brown from the tuff works really well and blends the build in together. And of course, as you can tell, we went around and put even more sunflowers and lilacs in the area. Overall, if we step back, I think that the build fits in well with the environment, and I'm happy that we have a tower here. But unfortunately, it happens to be an aesthetic build only. We don't have any space inside the build, only some shroom lights to add some extra light. However, I really do want to give this build a name and especially a story so that it fits in with the Kingdom of Audipon. So if you have any ideas for a name and for a story of this build, please do let me know. And it looks so incredible overlooking all of the lilacs and the sunflowers in the valley. You could say that I'm quite happy with the second edition that we have in the western region of Audipon. And as a reminder, if you would ever like to use any of the cinematics in this video or any of them that I've ever made, consider checking out the link in the description. If you're enjoying these videos and you'd like to see more of them, consider taking a look at this video that we have right here. You've built big, explored a lot, but something's missing. Now, that's where story comes in. Today, I'll show you how adding a story to your Minecraft world can give everything you've built real purpose. Adding story elements to my Minecraft world completely changed how I play the game. If you're excited to change the way you play Minecraft, consider a like on the video, as we're going for a goal of 110 likes. But let's get back to writing our story here at the Kingdom of Audipon. It's been about an hour of work, and we have some steady progress done here at the Tunnel of Oedipus. This thing really is starting to become absolutely gigantic, and I'm so happy that we got along to doing this project over the last couple of months. There really is nothing like having a long-term project in a Minecraft world because you can work at it chunk by chunk, and then eventually everything just starts to come together. And also, one of my favorite things about it too is that we're saving all of our emerald ore blocks so that we can silk touch them in the future. And of course, we'll get around to putting them into some sort of beautiful build, although we're still definitely not anywhere near to being done with the tunnel. And although the main objective for today's episode is to detail a little bit about how I put story into a Minecraft world, we're also gonna get around to expanding the kingdom. So I say, let's continue to decorate the tunnel with a beautiful stone path, and I'll give you some of my ideas about how to add story to your world. One of the easiest ways to add depth to your Minecraft world is by creating a backstory. Think about what happened before you started playing. Was there a great war? Did a once powerful civilization fall? Maybe your world is recovering from some sort of disaster. By adding history, your world instantly feels more alive, and every location you visit has a purpose. For example, here at the Kingdom of Audipon, although I happen to be a resident, I will not be staying here forever. My goal is to create a mining colony where we can gather mineral ore for the rest of the kingdoms in the world. Playing with a backstory like this gives me a greater purpose in the world, and it makes me feel like I'm contributing to something bigger than myself. And as we all know, when you're doing something for a purpose that's bigger than yourself, you're going to be even more intentional about getting the project finished. It may just be me, but with the golden light of the sun shining on our new project, it looks incredible in the area. It has definitely cost us on our tool durability, but at the same time, it is the exact thing that this area needed. We can step down and you can see that I ended up slabbing up the entire area. It's definitely rugged like the side of a cliff like I really wanted, but at the same time, you can kind of tell that I got around to making an indented path in the area, which now makes this area so easy to go up and down, and it's the perfect introduction to our tunnel. So as you can tell, I'm a pretty happy man, but at the same time, we have a whole lot of this area right here that we can make look a whole ton better, along with a bit more terraforming behind me and the monorail station as well. Or as you can tell, this area is just about complete, so I say let's get around to putting on the finishing touches. One of my favorite ways to add story to a Minecraft world is by building themed villages. Each village could have a unique history and culture that ties into your world's lore. Maybe one village is based on mining like this one, while another is centered on farming, while maybe another is centered on magic. There are infinite possibilities for different themes that you can put into your Minecraft world, and not only does it add variety to the world, but it makes your journey more immersive. Eventually, you'll look back at your Minecraft world and see that each village tells its own part of the story. Now, this right here is exactly what I was talking about. Flowers really do just add so much extra life to your world, although I should probably be careful about the zombie that we have coming right towards us. And if my voice sounds a little bit different at the moment, it is because I am sick. But I really do love having the flowers all around the area. It gives that extra story of beauty to the world. The people at the Kingdom of Audubon definitely enjoy an aesthetic environment, but as you can see, as we pass the monorail station, I've also gotten around to terraforming the area and surrounding the entire area with lilacs and then some wheat over on this side here. As you can see, everything is growing in, and the new addition of the wheat that we have right here goes really well with the wheelbarrow that we made from the last episode. Every bit of this area, including the entrance to our monorail station, is completely decorated now, and it really does seem weird to say it, but the eastern side of the kingdom is now officially complete. I'm so proud of all of the work that we've gotten done over the last couple of months, and of course, we're still not done with the tunnel, but a bravo to Slip. But before we go into the center part of the kingdom to expand even more, I did want to go over another storytelling aspect that I like to use in my worlds, and this one in particular goes out to the Minecraft content creators. You see, I've been very inspired by Jay Figsy over the last couple of months or so, and in his Let's Play series, he does lots of cinematics with other people, where he has built a beautiful world for him, his friends, and his supporters. The inclusion of others that you know, even if you just know them through YouTube, can add so much story to your world, and I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about with the following cinematic. If you're finding value within these tips, I'd encourage you to help write the story of the channel and hit that subscribe button. I'd really love to do this full time, and if you'd like to help that happen, consider buying a sticker. But if you're new here, just subscribing makes all of the difference in the world for a small channel. Now, hopefully, that cinematic gave you an idea of how wonderful it can be to add some extra story in a cinematic fashion to your Minecraft world. Not only can you tell a story with beautiful scenery just like this, but just through the writing itself. And hopefully, as you can see, it's so much fun to add plot and add friends into your world. So as the plot thickens here at Otapon, we can get around to talking about the next storytelling element. As you can see, I can put a map into my hands because one great way to tell the story of your world is by documenting it. And by documenting it, I mean making map art and writing the date on it when you make the map. And then over time, you can see the progress of your world. And I can show you this if we head into the Gold and Glory Treasury. On this side of the wall by the door, you can see that on February 2nd, the Kingdom of Otapon ended up looking a little bit like this. We had no crops next to the wheat field and definitely no stone path, along with the kingdom also had no dock area over here, and it had no builds over in this direction here too. And so by now you may have guessed, with 9 empty maps in my hand, we're gonna make a new map wall. Today is March 18th, meaning that it's been about 6 weeks since we made the last map. So I'll get around to doing this, and I'll put a couple of other ideas for how you can use maps to storytell in your Minecraft world. I think that there's something very special about my Minecraft world, in that I use books and written notes all over the kingdom. If you let yourself get immersed in the process, it is so fun to actually get to writing a story within your world in your books. You can talk about past events, explain the backstory of certain locations, or even leave hints for hidden treasures. I know that for myself personally, I keep all of my comment of the day books in the world. And whenever it's time for a new comment of the day episode on the second channel and I open up that book once again, it just hits me with a feeling of nostalgia. And whether or not you use it as a personal log or as a narrator of a story, I highly assure you that writing books and written notes in your world will bring the story to life. And so, with our last map placed onto the wall, we can say our next iteration is complete. You can really tell the work that we've gotten done over the last 6 weeks. And as you can tell, our kingdom has really started to come together. Along with, I'm very happy to be able to give a use to this little cottage that we have over here next to the wheelbarrow. I think that when it comes to telling a story in a Minecraft world, having a purpose for every build makes all the difference. Whether it be our dock for transport, Ada's River, the village tavern, Otapon Sugar Incorporated, or the Gold and Glory Treasury, all of these builds add that extra story to the world. I can remember what stage in my life and in the world we were when we built every single one of these builds. However, you may notice that the area behind me is looking quite bare at the moment, as this is going to be our building location for today's build. I think that I'm going to put a retaining wall around the area, and then we'll place a nice cozy cottage into the world. But let's put our shovel into our hands and get to preparing the land for today's build. As a Minecraft builder, part of my goal when playing the game is to build or find special locations in my world that have a deep meaning. These could be ancient ruins, mystical forests, or powerful shrines. In my own world, we have farmland where we have some ancient ruins that could have their own story within them. And if you have a landmark or a favorite build or location in your world, I highly recommend that you add a story to it. As you explore and return to these locations in your world, these locations will feel like they're part of something bigger. Well, not too shabby, I must say. I originally got the idea to have border walls like this from Shram, and as you can tell, all around us, they really make all of the difference in a mountain biome just like this. Not only do they give us more land to work with, but they flatten out the area as well, which is really helpful, especially because we make our builds using Lightmatica, and I'm really happy. This seems like a good plot of land to build. Now I think that there's no better way to celebrate story within Minecraft than by making a map room. This place will be home to all of the maps as we update the Kingdom of Otapon over time. Now, this was exactly what I was talking about. The chef has been in the kitchen and we have a beautiful cottage laid out in front of us, where, as you can see on the side, I came around with some rose bushes and some sunflowers. They add the perfect bit of red that this area needed. And then my favorite thing about this build by far is the fact that we have tough walls with some plants and some sugar cane growing in the background. The extra bit of greenery and pink atmosphere just brings everything together. We have a nice path that brings us to the other side of the build, where as we turn the corner, you can see that I have a makeshift well design. I came in with some spruce logs and trapdoors, and then a hanging sign, and then an iron bar and a chain leading into a little well with an iron bar. And I'm quite happy with this design. You're more than welcome to use it for yourself in your world. As we've been talking about, those little things just add that extra story element to the world too, along with our item frames, where you can see that we have paper on every single one of them, because this is of course the map room, which if you didn't believe me, you can definitely see it with the sign that we have here, although I want to have a different name for the build. So if you have any ideas about a better name for this build, consider leaving a comment below. But we can open the door and you'll see that we have a general infrastructure for some maps that we'll have in the area here. Although I did make a mistake, and when I was transferring this map over from February 2nd, I think that I updated it to the exact same map that we have from the 18th, which happens to be yesterday. So if you have any advice about how to lock maps or anything like that, please do consider leaving a comment too. But as you can see, we have our beautiful maps and some pots, and I actually ended up coming around to have some quartz on the walls, along with some bookshelves, which we definitely are going to have to update and put some books into. And then we'll make this place look even prettier as we continue to put more maps in the area. If we take a step out here, you'll notice that I ended up decorating the entire area right here with some peony bushes, which if we head to the dock and we look up, really gives that extra life to the build. But at the same time, if we were to open up the map of the world, you could see that this is the only region that we have left to update for the Kingdom of Audubon. And another way to show it is that this is the only little region that we have left to update. So if you're excited for me to finish off the kingdom and put on the finaling touches in the next couple of episodes, consider subscribing to the channel. But as always, here in this beautiful kingdom, there is more work for us to get done. Let's face it, life doesn't slow down. But Minecraft, it's your place to breathe. Ready to reset for a bit? If so, hit that like button. We're shooting for 120 likes. After about a week or two of video editing, it feels good to be back in the Kingdom of Audubon. And especially exciting is that we have officially completed the first draft of the Tunnel of Oedipus. You can see that the tunnel extends all of the way to the walls. And interestingly enough, this tunnel has now gotten so big that we needed some extra light in the middle. So we have some chiseled quartz bricks and some lanterns here. And then as we get to the edge of the tunnel, you'll notice that it actually leads into a cave area, which will be incredibly useful for later projects, because eventually the idea is to extend the tunnel to the right and then over off to the left. For in the middle area, we're gonna have a massive storage room. And after months of hard work, I can finally say that we're very close to getting to it. You can see that we'll also have to get into putting in a floor design for the tunnel area, and we may even get around to doing it in today's episode. What I do happen to know is that the last couple of episodes that we've had in this world have been very educational, and I've had a total blast making them. I must say, it feels really good to be able to provide even more value to you all, but at the same time, those videos take absolutely forever in order to make. And at the end of the day, I'm here as a YouTuber in order to make builds for you all on Minecraft, and most importantly, to play this beautiful game that I love. So if you're an OG, I think that you're especially going to enjoy the episode, as I know I am already incredibly enjoying making it. It is just about time that we get around to expanding into this area of the kingdom right here, where, as you can see, we have a whole ton of land to work with. I have a couple of other ideas for side quests that we can get around to doing as well, the first of which is going to include expanding the kingdom with some stone brick walls. So after I get around to destroying the enemy, I say let's put some blocks in our hands and continue to expand the kingdom. Once again, the chef has been in the kitchen, and I'm really happy with how this one came out. As you can see, our extension of the path comes down onto the water side in two different ways. To keep with the theme of everything that we have in Otapon, we have cobblestone and stone bricks and some stone. And I got around to slabbing up the entire thing, which probably took me about an hour and a half, but every single time that you do these changes in your world when it comes to terrain and terraforming, it makes all the difference. The best news about it all is that it's been such a long time since I've played Minecraft that I'm having such a ball playing the game, meaning that although we're going to be building in this area right here and we're going to have to do a whole ton of terraforming in order to get it ready, I'm just okay with that. But I did want to briefly mention that one of my favorite things about these pathway designs is that I really had to dig into the terrain, and it has a really sloped path which gives really wonderful sight lines of an eventual dock area. And part of the reason that I cleared out this area that we have right here is that we might get around to making a boat this episode. One of my favorite builds to make in any Minecraft world is to build on the water, and I bet that we can all agree that this is the perfect area to place a boat. However, boats are also one of the most difficult things to make in the game, so I'll definitely be having to spend some time in creative in order to make that happen. I also do have another idea for a plan that we could do in today's episode, and that involves our unnamed horse friend over here. I really haven't discussed this guy too much. The reason being, if we take off the lead and we hop onto our horse friend right here, you will instantly notice that he is quite slow. And so, although I really love this guy right here, we just haven't done anything with him. But I do think that it could be nice to give him a home, and it being spring break as an elementary school teacher, I have even more time to get creative, meaning that I'm gonna head on to build school and get around to making something creative. And then, with plenty of materials in hand, we'll get around to building. Well, not too shabby, I would say. It's always a good challenge for me to make a sailboat in Minecraft, and over the years, I've definitely gotten better at doing it as well. I used to have to follow tutorials, and now I can do it all by myself, which is definitely a big win, and it's a good feeling to be around the Garden of the Gods once again. But as the beautiful sun rises, I did want to mention that when you're building a boat or anything in the water, it's a lot easier to make a dirt box first. That way, you have a lot more room to maneuver when making the build. And so, although it may seem like it takes more time at first, I assure you that it's much more helpful in the long run. It's so much more difficult and so much more time consuming to build in the water in Minecraft. Now, I'm very happy with this build and I'm realizing that we need a name for it. If you have any ideas for what we can name this beautiful sloop, please let me know in the comments below. But as you can see, we came around and we ended up doing a mixture of spruce and dark oak for the wood types. We have some trapdoors mixed up in there, and you may notice that down below here we actually have some arches in the boat too. On the back side, we have a motor just in case the winds aren't looking good, and I'm very happy with this boat from pretty much every single angle except for from the front or from the back. You can see that we could put it into the water a little bit more. You can also kind of tell from this angle right here, but it's okay. We'll always be looking at the boat from a distance. And as you can see from up here, our galleon just looks beautiful. We definitely need a name for it. I'm bringing you back in a bit early, since as you can tell, we've been doing a bit of digging and I also got around to making my first ever secret door. Now, it may not look like anything from here, but if I go forward and walk through the door, you can see that it opens up, and after 10 years of playing Minecraft, I've never made a door like this before. So I've just been having so much fun going back and forth, but as you can see, it leads into a really cool looking tunnel. We've been using a lot of the same blocks here at the Kingdom of Audubon, and I wanted to switch it up. So as you can see on the walls, we have a couple of different types of terracotta and some spruce planks as well. On the floor, we opted for some polished andesite and some green terracotta with one stripe going through the middle. And then every 7 blocks or so, we have a copper block with a lantern. And then I used some spruce stairs and slabs to add that extra depth to the tunnel. It's nothing insane, but I'm very happy to be able to use some blocks that we don't usually use. And then on the end, we have a couple of bookshelves, and if we open the door, it'll lead on out to the rest of the kingdom. As you may be able to tell, it's quite difficult to be able to work with this mountainous terrain, and so the idea, at least for the time being, is to continue to extend the path right here and then kind of bring it on up to the rest of the pathways over in this direction. I'm really having so much fun just messing around and getting creative, but I say let's put our shovel in our hands and get back to terraforming the area. It's been about 2 hours of terraforming, and I now have a really good idea with how we're going to use the rest of the kingdom. You can see that we now have a clearing in this entire area, and it connects everything from the eastern side of the kingdom over to the western side. If we continue to walk down this area, you can see that we have a little staircase where we'll be able to head down here and be able to make our way into the tunnel. And then over on this side here, where the dirt is turning into grass, we have a stairway design that heads down to the water. You can tell that it gets a lot more steep down here, but we now have an official way to get to the western side of the kingdom, and then we have our secret entrance right here. But I must say, it is interesting. We now have pretty much the entire kingdom complete after this build. We'll hopefully find some space over here where we can put in our barn for our horse. But as you can tell, with the last bits of dirt turning into grass, we are definitely ready for a build. If you make Minecraft videos and you'd ever like to use any any of my cinematics for free, consider checking out the link in the description. But let's get around to finishing off the Center Kingdom with something incredible. She's a beaut, and that's for sure. I'm so happy with this build, and it has a really cool design to it too. As you notice right here, we have an interesting well design, although we'll come back to it in a moment because the sun is starting to set, and so we can make our way inside to a little aesthetic interior. This is kind of like a well slash like a lunch station for employees of the kingdom. We have an ominous skull for whatever reason. I just wanted to have it in here, and then we also have some pieces of meat and some veggies in case we have any vegetarian miners. I'm really happy with the addition of the candles that we have right here. It's a nice little aesthetic, and I want to use this more in the future. And then I'm sure that it'll come as no surprise that we have tons of flowers around the area too. I really am obsessed with them, and you can't go wrong with them in my personal opinion. As you can see on the second and third layers of the build, we ended up using some tuff just to make things a little darkened, and I love it. I really had no idea how we were going to fit this well into the terrain, but I think that we've done a great job doing it. We also have the brown banners on the corners of this build, which is a great accent piece. And by this point in the episode, it's probably not a surprise that we need a name for the build. So definitely consider leaving one in the comments below, but our well right here has running water, which is really cool. I didn't want it to be stagnant. And then we have some grindstones and some iron bars and levers and chains all around with a copper or a lightning rod just leading into even more grindstones. The center little bob that we have right here is a crafter, which is a great accent piece, and I like the red that it has too. And then on the outside, you can also see that we came in with spruce trapdoors just to make that extra contrast with the border wall. It wouldn't be a slip build if I didn't use tons of pots, and this time we ended up going around with some dark oak saplings too. So all in all, I'm incredibly happy with the build, and all things said and done, we've actually done a whole ton of work in the western region. Our kingdom is almost complete. We only have this one area left to build, which is exactly what I'm going to get to doing. If you're new to the channel, I'd encourage you to take a look at this video right here, but thanks so much for taking a look, and I will see you all next week. You ever pour hundreds of hours into something only to realize it's time to walk away? That's where I'm at. This is the last build of my forever world. The kingdom I started 1700 days ago, block by block, grind after grind. And today, we finish it. If you're excited for that adventure, consider hitting the like button, as we have a goal of 150 likes. And stay tuned until the end for a full world tour of my favorite Minecraft world. It is a good feeling to be back in the kingdom of Otapon, although at the same time it is a bittersweet feeling as well. It is day 1648 and the only bit that we have left to decorate our kingdom is this little area right here. I was considering making a dock where these stairs lead down, but if I'm being honest, I like how sleek the stone is coming down from the mountain, as well as it kind of provides a minimalistic outlook from this perspective here, meaning that now that we've put all of these peonies over here and all of these rose bushes over here, the only place left that I plan to build is right in this area here. Now, as we discussed in the last episode, we're going to be putting a barn in that area for this horse right here, which still happens to have no name, but that's also because I posted last week's video today. So we'll give it some time, and if we get a name for this guy, then I'll put it in with editor slip. However, before we get around to making the barn, we still have one other task that we need to get done. As many of you all know, this guy is a big fan of side quests, and over the last couple of months we've been working on this massive tunnel overlook called Otapos, which in my opinion has become something quite incredible, and it's the biggest build that I've ever made. It may not seem like it on YouTube, but in reality this thing is very tall, along with quite expensive with the birch wood and the iron and the quartz bricks that we have right here, along with all of the diorite that you can see too. So I'm very happy with everything that we've accomplished here, and we'll have to come back to this project at a later time, except for the fact that I want to get the floor done, along with at some point I definitely want to get Silk Touch and collect up all of the emerald ore blocks that we have scattered throughout the tunnel. And the exciting thing for me is that I haven't planned out floor whatsoever, meaning that tonight on Saturday night, April 5th, I can get around to doing whatever I want with the floor design. I'm very excited to go with my creativity and see what happens tonight, and when we have something that I think is relatively satisfying, I'll check in with you then. About an hour or so later, and I'm very happy that we got around to completing a floor here in the tunnel. And by completing, I do mean 90% done. We ran out of red terracotta, and so in order to finish off the tunnel, we'll have to get some more from a couple of villagers. But as you'll notice, we came in with red terracotta along the floor in different designs. I do think that I've messed up the design a little bit. I'm pretty sure that it makes a full circle with the white in the middle here. But if I'm being honest, it's really fun to just be able to use this block. As we've talked about a little bit too, we have some red terracotta here, and then we also came around with some granite along the sides. And then to trim the wall of the tunnel, we used even more red glazed terracotta right here. And I do think that it's worth mentioning that although we won't be coming back to many builds here in the Kingdom of Otapon, we will be coming back to this tunnel. I really want this beautiful area to be our massive storage hub at some point. This being a forever world, we have plenty of time in order to get that done. And so at this point in time, I'm feeling happy with the progress that we've gotten done over the last 6 months, and I'm just about ready to put the final touches on this beautiful kingdom. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, but for our next kingdom, we'll be heading to the desert, as the desert is one of my favorite places to build anything in Minecraft, along with, as you know, we've been building in a mountain biome over the last couple of months. And although I'm so happy with how this beautiful kingdom has come out, it has been a lot of work to terraform everything everything around the area. So you could say that I'm excited for new horizons, and it'll be a completely fresh start in this world. We won't be bringing any of our tools or materials, and the rules are that I can't come back to this kingdom here to use any of the materials until we've beaten the game, which will be a fun challenge, I think. Although it is day 1653 in this world, we still haven't beaten the game. As this is the first kingdom of our forever world, I've really enjoyed taking things slow, and who knows if we'll pick up the pace, but I'll give myself the opportunity to do so. What I do know is that this area behind me is the last area that we have left to build in the world, and it's the location where we'll put the barn for the horse. In order to make that happen, I think that I'm going to take out my shovel and I'm going to clear out the entire area so that it goes down to this level that we're at here, which means that we'll probably have to bring down the border wall a little bit too. It almost feels like I'm procrastinating doing this build. I can't believe it's all that we have left. But I say, let's put our shovel into our hands and make this final area look beautiful. And just like that, our final base location is ready for building, which I think is going to be quite interesting because the build is actually a lot smaller than the area that we have around here. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up putting a little lake in this area here, and then of course we'll be using tons of too tall flowers to spice up the area too. It is day 1659 in the world, and there really is something so nostalgic about putting the final touches on something that I've worked so hard on for the last couple of months. I say that after we make the barn, why don't we go on a world tour and I show you everything that we've made so far. But once again, I may be procrastinating the build. So as the rain starts to pour down in our beautiful mountain kingdom, I say let's get back to work and put the final build into the kingdom. Now, here, boy, welcome to your new home. We still have not received a name for our horse friend, so I believe that I'm gonna name him Giuseppe as an ode to Barce's world. So we'll definitely be having to put a name on this guy at some point, but it's just about time that we welcome Giuseppe to the barn. We are gonna have to break down these copper trapdoors for the moment, and now we can lead Giuseppe in, where we have a very beautiful interior that we'll talk about in a moment. We can place back down these copper trapdoors trapdoors to make the barn whole once again. And if I'm being honest, he looks very happy in the pen that we've made for him. But on the other side of the barn, as you can tell, we have a quite beautiful looking interior where I honestly haven't done too much except for I really like the floor that we have here. We have copper blocks and some green terracotta, and then on the sides you can see that we have cherry saplings along with some pots, which Giuseppe seems very happy about, by the way. As always, we've reused our old tools, and you can see that we have them on the wall right there with like number 2, and then right here we have bang number 3, which is honestly just such a silly name for a shovel. As you can see, we have bang V4 in my hands. But then along over on this side, we have even more pots and then a nice little bed area in case a traveler needs to spend a night here. And it's perfect to have a horse stables that will go along with it. But as we open our spruce door and head outside, you'll see that we've connected our pathway, and it's so beautiful being able to look our galleon over in the distance. We've also received a name for the boat that we have behind us. We'll be now calling it the Medieval Galleon. And then as the sun starts to set, you can see that alongside our way to the barn over on the right side here, I happen to have made a little pond. I kind of switched up my normal path design for this one, where we have a mixture of stone blocks, and then we also have some coarse dirt and some normal dirt as well, along with some lily pads, as you can see here. And I really think that these little details give that extra bit of life and story to the world that it needs. As we can see at nightfall, the barn is lit up with lanterns all over. I by no means think that it's overkill. I think that we've done a wonderful job with our light dynamics here in the kingdom, but I really do think that I've progressed as a builder here, and I love the accents that we have with the different tough blocks along with the copper trapdoors. In my opinion, I think that Mojang has been doing an incredible job with the updates recently, and I'm so happy that we have all these incredible blocks to use in the game. So these beautiful blocks are nowhere out of my building horizons. But what is on the horizon is that in the upcoming months, we're going to be building an incredible desert kingdom. But before we get to doing that, I do want to give you all a world tour, which we'll get right into right after today's video sponsor. If you're tired of wasting time editing out silences and bad takes in your videos, let me introduce you to Gling. This AI-powered software automatically cuts out all of those awkward pauses, then exports everything directly to your favorite editing software. It's totally changed the way I make videos, letting me focus on what really matters, building and creating. Want to save 10%? Just grab my link in the description to grab Gling and level up your video editing today. Now, a massive thank you to Gling AI for being today's video sponsor. I use Gling to edit up all of my comment of the day videos, which can be found on the second channel. But there's no better place to start than our first ever build in the world. We have our cute, quaint little cottage that overlooks the entire mountain valley, and as you can see on the right side here, we have some sweetberry bushes. One of my favorite little details about our stutter build is that we actually have some packed mud right here, which we ended up blending into the terrain, and I think that it works well with the pumpkins behind us. If we open up the door, we'll be met with a very quaint little interior where we have some bookshelves over here and then some storage around as well. This build does happen to have a second floor, and as we head up here, you'll notice that we have a bedroom for all of our smelting and eating and sleeping needs, with a little map from the beginning. Wow, it's actually, I forgot that this map was here. That's crazy. This is what the kingdom looked like before we were here, and this is what the kingdom looks like now. I will be making one more map of the entire kingdom of Otapon for my own documentation purposes, but I won't bring you through the journey. And then, as we continue along the outer rim, we'll be met with the tunnel of Otapos. Along with on this side right here, you'll see that we have our beautiful river, and we also have a little area that goes down to our spider XP farm, although there's nothing really exciting except for a bunch of wooden areas, and then a giant bubble vader that leads to a spider XP farm. We can make our way down the steps right here, and with the river on our left, you'll notice that we get into our ruined fields. And as you can see, no matter what way that you look, I really have maximized the viewpoints of the kingdom. This potato field here was the original potato field that we used for all of our food in the kingdom, which is so funny because based on the food that we have in our hand, we have more than we could ever need now. And And then, as we all know and love, we have the beautiful tunnel of Oedipus, which we'll be coming to here and there in the future. You'll notice that as we continue along this side here towards the ruins, we have tons of farm animals, as we have the sheep over here, and then I believe we have even more animals in this pen over there. And as we continue along to the eastern side of the kingdom, you'll notice that we'll run into our monorail station here. If we head to the left, we'll come up upon the monorail, which has been really helpful for starting to get a city established over here. And then we can come on through to the backside where we can open a button and be met with our interior. This interior has always been very noisy and very funky, but I like it as well. And then as we head out the front door, we'll be met with our beautiful farmland over here. I'm so happy with the way that these farmland ruined areas came out, and we'll be using them much more in the world, I do believe. But we actually happen to have more builds that we really haven't discussed over here. If we continue along the path and take a left right here, we have a little house that I just made for fun on the whim, which has almost no space for it, and the packed mud that we have right here is a B-dubs originality trick, but as we head inside, we really have nothing here. Although on the left side, we have a miniature carrot field, and then as we head back down, we can take a left where we have another build as well. As we head towards our wool farm, you'll notice that we actually have Indiana Animate's Cottage down here, which is another one of those builds that I haven't discussed much, but it's actually one of my favorite builds that we have in the kingdom. It's nice and quaint and cozy and overlooks the seaside, and you may notice that we have some custom trees that I got the idea from ETAT. And then we have a little gazebo as well, and it's cute and quaint, and I just like the whole area. And then as we continue along down here, we can run into our wool farm. This thing really looks cool in my personal opinion, and I think that it was a great first at bat with a new build style that we kind of incorporated around the kingdom. If we open the door and head inside, you'll notice that we'll be able to head down below, where we'll be met with an aquarium with tons of fish just going around. And then in this area here, we have tons of sheep that are in their pens so that we can collect their wool. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with how this interior came out, as well as it was one of my first opportunities to use looms as well. As we head away from the wool farm and head over to this area here, you'll notice that we have 360's Cottage, which is another build that I haven't discussed too much, but I really love the interior that we have here, where I silk touched a little bit of coal. And then we have, of course, even more of our diamonds tools right here, as well as I do believe that this build is when I started to use iron bars for windows, and I really like it. It's an accent piece that we have interspersed throughout the kingdom. But as we head around the bend right here from 360's place, we just have a little smeltery area. The idea behind this build is that I thought it would be nice to have a little garbage dump area, as of course you're not going to use every single block, and sometimes it's nice to be able to get rid of them. But truth be told, I really haven't used the build at all. It was great in theory, but not in its actual functionality. And as the sun begins to set on the horizon, we'll run into ETAT's Cottage. This is one of my favorite miniature builds that I have ever made, and my favorite thing about it is the blue and the green and the little bit of gold that you can see in the cartography tables that we have throughout the build. This area is home to our bamboo farm, as we can see down below here, and it's honestly one of my favorite places to revisit, and it's done really well for getting us materials for trading with villagers too. We'll get another view of ETAT's Cottage right here, and then of course we can't ignore Marnie. She really is such a cutie, and I'm debating on whether or not I want to bring her to the next kingdom. If you think that Marnie should come on her next adventure, leave a comment saying Marnie. But as we get into the center of the kingdom, we have our storage area, and then over here we have the smeltery, which I think may be the most functional build that we have in the entire kingdom, where we have our beautiful sign right here, and then if we open the door, you'll notice that we have a dripstone lava farm, along with an interior that is not only dark feeling, but is also kind of cozy as well, and I don't know how I was able to mix these feelings together, but I really do get that vibe in here. But we can continue along to the right over to the Gold and Glory Treasury. This bank is one of my first ever times trying to do a diagonal build in Minecraft, and I think it came out really well. We have a nice little seating area for people waiting outside the bank here, where we can head inside to another unique looking interior where we have all of the lecterns for all of the financial transactions that happen throughout the entire world of this kingdom. The Gold and Glory Treasury was named named by the Targ, and I really love the name too. And then as always, we have our old tools that we haven't been using just to give some extra life to them in the kingdom. This wall right here with February 2nd used to be where we happen to have our map wall, but as you can see, we've moved it around a little bit. And then on the other side of the Gold and Glory Treasury, we have the Village Tavern. This was my first time trying to incorporate a tower into a cottage build, and I think it came out okay. But it is definitely one of my favorite interiors that we have in the kingdom, with an amethyst shard right here, along with a little brew area where we also have a washing stand. And then the functional part about this build is that we've actually been doing all of our brewing in this area here. This build also happens to have a second floor, which is a little reading nook. And to me, it seems like the kind of place where I could definitely get lost in a book overnight. Along with, as we exit, these 3 pieces of iron armor are the first iron armor that we ever had in the world, which now that we're almost on day 1700, I'm so happy that we have a memento of. On the left side here, as we get into the center kingdom, we have the Otapon Sugar Incorporated Industries, which, as you may guess by the name, is a sugarcane farm, and we have another funky looking interior where I actually ended up using some cookies as decoration too. If we open the store, we actually don't have an official entryway, but these 2 trapdoors right here will lead us on down towards the sugarcane farm, where I've actually made it so that this place has a dual function. You'll notice that we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 composters that are auto-composting whenever I have enough watermelon to compost. I don't have a skeleton farm, and so in order to get all of the flowers that you've seen in the kingdom, this was my method of getting them, which might I also tell you, it was incredibly time-consuming, but I love the lighting that we have in this area, with the red with the looms right here, and then some shroom lights with some oak trapdoors. And then on both sides of the wall right here, we have our sugarcane farm, which I actually have never harvested, and imagine the equal amount of sugarcane on the other side of the wall, we are definitely good to go, which really will be a great thing when we eventually make a creeper farm and get to have unlimited rockets. Although, if I'm being honest, I have no idea when that's going to happen. As we continue along, on this side right here, we have our custom river, which we've named Ada's River, along with our nether portal, and then our clock tower right up here. And I'm so happy with how this natural terrain ended up coming out. We have the back of the smeltery right here, and there's actually something very special in this tower here. And then over here to the right, we have our windmill, along with 2 more cottages right here. The first of which is one of those designs that I just ended up making on my own, and I think that it's okay. And then this build that we ended up making about 2 episodes ago is one of my favorites that we have in the entire kingdom. We have our own custom well design, which is my own design. And then if we head inside, you'll notice that this is our official map room for the kingdom of Otapon. I think that will quickly cut through the 2 tall flowers where we can head on down to the dock area, where I briefly did want to mention that one of my favorite views of the entire kingdom is from this viewpoint right here, with all of the flowers going into the water. And then this wheat field that we have right here is the first wheat field that we ever made in the game. One thing that's very unique about this mountain kingdom is that we have multiple different avenues of getting everywhere in the kingdom, so we'll actually have 3 pathways and 1 bridge over here to get to the western part. But if we head down in this direction here, you'll notice that we'll run into our dock, which is really cool looking, and I'm very excited to hit the water and get on off to our desert kingdom. As we make our way up to the middle kingdom, you'll notice that we have towers right here, and then we have our well, which is actually kind of a generator right here, which is from the most recent episode, along with our secret tunnel right here with my first ever secret door on the other side. But once again, you can take a look at that episode to get more of that detail. But we'll continue up our beautiful stone pathways, which are definitely one of the things that I'm most proud about with the kingdom, where, as we've discussed, we'll come into a little bridge area, which leads on off to a medieval tower, which kind of reminds me of a wizard tower. This build is just for aesthetics, and it also serves as a wonderful light source. It really lights up the kingdom at night. And then you'll notice in this area of the kingdom, we've done tons of lilacs and sunflowers all over for that pink and for the yellow, where if we take a step back, you'll once again be able to see the 3 avenues. We have Avenue 1 right here, we have path number 2 right there, and then we have path number 3 right here, which actually happens to be another little tunnel with tons of lecterns where we can walk through and get a shortcut to this area of the kingdom. But as we head down here, we'll come across our melon farm, where if we open the doors right here, I'm really happy with the interior that we have right here. I love all of the color that we have with the paintings and then with the lecterns too. I mean, the chiseled bookshelves, but of course we have more pots and flowers right here, and I've actually AFK'd a whole ton in this room here because as we've discussed, and if we head down right here, we'll actually go to our melon farm, which is the primary way that I've been getting a lot of the bone meal for all of the too tall flowers. If we head to the right here, you'll notice that we actually happen to have another aquarium where every once in a while we'll see some fish swimming about. And then we have a little bed in case I need to sleep tonight while I'm AFKing. And over on this side right here of the farm, we'll go, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have tons of melons right here. And so this farm has definitely suited us well. And I really do think that we were able to make the most of quite a congested space. As we continue over here, you'll see all of the flowers that we put into the area earlier, along with our enemy outpost that we ended up defeating a couple of episodes ago. And then as we make our way over to the western side of the kingdom, we'll run into Sagei's house. We're able to access it by taking a little left right here, and it's wonderfully surrounded with all these rose bushes and peonies. I'm really happy with how this build came out, and you'll notice that we once again ended up using even more cartography tables. This build has 2 different floors, but my favorite one right here is the top floor. If we head inside, you'll notice that it's so good looking. And especially as the sun sets, it gives really good looks at everything that we've made around the area. And then, of course, 2 episodes ago, we ended up making our beautiful galleon, where we can continue on down to something really special. We'll be met at a crossroads right here in front of the Garden of the Gods. And then if we take a left right here, this is where the barn resides. Said it many times, and I'll say it again, but the Garden of the Gods that we have right over here is my favorite build that I've ever made in the kingdom. As a natural feature and an ode to the spiritual aspect of Minecraft, it is beautiful, especially with shaders. As you can see, the purpose of this area is completely aesthetic, where we have a quaint, cozy little fishing dock right here, and then a bunch of 1 block wide paths where you can just kind of lounge throughout and laze throughout the area. The one thing about it, if we can sneak on down right here, is that we do happen to have tons of sweetberry bushes, meaning that it can be quite easy to get yourself pricked on them as you're walking about, so you do have to be careful. But genuinely, as a human being, just walking through this world, it is so beautiful, especially in the garden, and you can get absolutely lost in here too. Although I happen to know the way where we'll turn into a dock area over here, which overlooks the ship. And so, just like that, on day 1670 in this world, we are officially complete with the Kingdom of Audapon. This project is definitely the best project that I have ever created in Minecraft, and it is the first finished kingdom that I've ever made as well. So if you're new here and you've enjoyed this episode, I highly recommend that you take a look at the playlist that you'll find up on the right corner here. I put a whole ton of care and dedication into not only making these worlds, but making these videos for you all as well. I'm so excited to see what our desert kingdom ends up looking like in the future. And so I'll be seeing you all for a fresh start in the same world, this forever world, very soon.